What's up YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, Astro Sean. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the chart ruler through the houses of the zodiac. So the chart ruler is a very important placement because it is the planet that is ruling the sign on the first house. So everybody has a first house, and that first house is your rising sign, also known as your ascendant or your horizon sign. But basically, the first house represents the native or the person themselves. It is the person in material form, so basically your physical body. And the planet that rules that sign is your chart ruler, and it rules over your entire chart. And so it has been in my experience that the chart ruler is kind of showing the main direction of life, or where you spend a lot of time, or where a lot of your energy is orientated towards, right? So I'm going to be talking about the different houses in which area of life you will be mostly concerned about based on your rising sign. So just, shortly, if you are a Leo rising, then the sun would be your chart ruler. If you are a Cancer rising, then the moon would be your chart ruler. If you are a Libra or Taurus rising, then it would be Venus. If you are Scorpio or Aries rising, Mars would be your chart ruler. If you are an Aquarius or Saturn rising, then Aquarius or Capricorn rising, then Saturn would be your chart ruler. And if you are a Pisces or Sagittarius rising, Jupiter would be your chart ruler. And for Virgo and Gemini, it will be Mercury. And so this video is going to be somewhat general because it is going to, the planet that we're going to be talking about in your case or in any chart's case is going to greatly color the experience. So even though each house has general significations, Venus interpreted in a house is going to be different from Saturn, right? Venus is going to bring about things in a more artistic, kind of sensual, and in a softer manner than Saturn, which is going to be more severe, cautious, and calculated in terms of its expression. And then just think about Mercury. Mercury is going to be more restless and communicative and mercurial in terms of its expression. So just keep that in mind as we talk about the different houses, all right? So if your chart ruler is in the first house, this can indicate that the main area of life that you're focused on is your body, your own self. So this can make a person self-centered, and in some cases very self-conscious, because you are very conscientious of how you express yourself and how you look and your mannerisms. So if you're talking about a planet like Saturn, if you are Aquarius rising with Saturn in the first house, then you may be the type that is more conscious and more uncomfortable with your appearance in some way, or you may be very severe in terms of how you express yourself. Let's say you have Venus in the first house with Taurus rising or Libra rising, then you're going to be softer in terms of how you express yourself. You're going to be more about fashion, more about clothing, more about coming across as more agreeable and more compromising in terms of how you accept yourself. So the next house will be the second house. So the second house is the house that deals with our possessions and money and our values and what we own. So your identity is shaped around your possessions and what you own. These people can validate themselves through earning money or through their possessions, and that will be a huge part of their lives because these people are all about physical security. So the amount of money that they have will greatly show or color how they look or color their appearance in a way, in their outlook on life. And the sign that this is taking place in is going to show the expression, how they go about and get the money. You know what I'm saying? So you have to think about it like, if your chart ruler is in the second house, then your life is going to be orientated towards second house topics, for better or for worse. We'll really have to look at the ruler of the second, but we're not going to get into all of that because I don't want this video to get too long. I just want to kind of give a general interpretation, And then we have the third house. So the third house is the house of our neighborhood and our relatives. So if you have siblings, then more than likely you will identify strongly with them, as well as you guys may favor, because if the ruler of the third is in the first, no, I'm sorry, if the ruler of the first is in the third, then that can kind of show where you guys may look alike. There's a similarity in terms of appearance, in terms of how you express yourself. For these people, their life will involve around communication, speech, and short journeys. So movement and travel will be a major theme, as well as your early education. Your early education will especially have a strong and profound impact upon you. You may create your persona through writing and communication, and you are the type that would probably know your city like the back of your hand. In this house, the third house is the house that deals with our friendships that are more so like family, my friends that are more like family members. So you may really strongly identify with your friends and with your relatives. Now, the fourth house. So the fourth house is a very private house, and it represents our base of operations in our private and our personal lives. So these people are orientated towards their home life and their family, and they identify strongly with their family, and typically they will inherit a lot of their genes from their father's side of the family. And with the fourth house, because it deals with the later half of life or the end of things, the later part of your life may be more active and fruitful, especially if you have the sun here. And that just because it will take time for the sun to rise and get to the tent where it can shine and be bright. But people with their chart ruler in the fourth house tend to or be orientated towards a very private life, towards their home life, towards family. And they, can be, let's say you can have a person that is outgoing with this aspect or with this placement, but they will also have a strong need to have their own privacy at the same time. So these are people that definitely need to come in their, come to their cocoon and to their cave and just recharge and really get that, and really spend that time alone. And a lot of the way these people express and the way they dress is going to be for emotional comfort and security. These are people that need to feel comfortable wherever they are. They take their home with them. Now, the fifth house is the house of recreation, self-expression, and hidden karma. So when your chart ruler is in the fifth house, you really focus on distinguishing yourself from the crowd. And that could be in terms of how you dress, your hairstyle. But oftentimes, these people will take pride in how they look and receive admiration from others. And again, this is because they typically really try to distinguish themselves from other people. Your life may center around children, but also anything that you create. Love affairs, speculation, and gambling will all be important in your life, and your life could be full of drama. You could work in drama or in theater, especially if the chart ruler is like Mercury or Saturn or Venus even. Now the sixth house. So the chart ruler in the sixth house, this is a challenging one due to it being an aversion to the ascendant. The sixth house doesn't form a natural aspect with the ascendant. So this is the house of self-adjustment and service. So these people tend to be busybodies and someone whose life is orientated towards work. A lot of their free will could be usurped due to work or a health ailment. Your body could be under stress, so you could have a high nervous disposition. These people tend to identify strongly with their work, with their employer or with their employees, and they also really may be fond of animals, small animals, or animals in general, really. But again, this is the house of self-adjustment, so these people could always be making adjustments in their lives and always changing things and always integrating themselves into something or integrating things into their lives. And then next is the seventh house. With this one, this is also kind of tricky because your identity becomes strongly tied to a partner or a relationship. So this is a we rather than I placement. So a partner could have a little too much control over you, and there can be issues with your individuality. You may always be around other people, or your life may involve being around other people. You can easily create open enemies when you have your chart ruler in the seventh house, because what's going to happen is your life is going to be orientated towards things that are opposite of you. And so part of the way your life may balance itself out is through open enemies, where you have to basically defend yourself or be confronted by other people in some way. So they can deal with the courtroom systems and all of that type of stuff. So don't be surprised if you end up in court or get sued or suing somebody if you have your chart ruler in the seventh. But this can show where you are orientated towards compromise, relationships, partnerships, and marriage. Now, the eighth house is another house that can be difficult because it also, just like the sixth, it does not form a major aspect with the ascendant. So with this type of placement, you can expect to go through many changes, especially in terms of your identity. The theme of degeneration and regeneration when it comes to your physical body may be present. So you may be the type of person that your physical body may strike strong reactions from other people. So these can be the people that have a lot of tattoos or piercings, or that can just be something about the way that they look that evokes strong emotions from others. There will be a strong identification with your gender and your sexual powers. And in the worst case scenario, this can be the manifestation of like a suicidal or homicidal placement, because the eighth house is deep and you can be brought down to the pits of hell, but also regenerate and become more influenced to have personal power. These people can be very influential people, and they can have direct access to the astral realm. So these people can be mediums, and they can be people that are very intuitive. The eighth house also represents your partner's money or your partner's resources. So you may identify with your partner's resources, if that makes sense. So these are people that could benefit from an inheritance of some sorts as well, especially if it's a planet like Venus or Jupiter here. Now, the ninth house is the house of good spirit, and it will show a life that is orientated towards long journeys, including spiritual journeys. So God is with you when you have this placement. Well, God is with us all, but especially you. And that's because you gravitate towards things that expand your consciousness, such as maybe church or college, politics, anything that deals with the outside world in a philosophical way, and something that is bigger than yourself. So you may identify a lot with your in-laws or your spouse's relatives, because that is also a significator for the ninth house. And your life may be about your life may be about relocation and change. That could also be a major theme in your life, and movement and religion. Now, so the 10th house, which is the very top of the chart, represents our public life. So with these people, their reputation will precede them. Did I say that right? Precede them? I don't think that's how the saying goes, huh? I think it does. Anyways, ruler of the 1st and the 10th, these people have a reputation, and your physical body comes before the public. So these are people that can reach great heights in life and come before the public in some way. The 10th house isn't always about your career. It can be basically about what you're known for. So these people can be known for how they look. They can be known for their appearance, and they could be known for things like that. These people could inherit more of their genes from their mother's side of the family, since the 10th house represents your mother. Now, the 11th house is the house that represents good spirit. It is the house of our groups, friends, and objectives. So if you have your chart ruler in the 11th house, you are orientated towards identifying with a group and with your friends. So you may be a social media influencer, and you may have a lot of goals and objectives, and you could also end up being objectified based on your appearance. These are people who you may have stepchildren, because this house is 5 houses from the 7th, and you may identify with other people's children in some way. The 11th house is the house that represents friends that advance us. So if you have your chart ruler in the 11th house, and if it's connected to a benefic, then you could attract friends that help move you forward, help move you forward in life. And then lastly, we have the 12th house. The 12th house, the house where we serve or we suffer. And this is also a challenging house due to it being in aversion to the ascendant. So it is right behind the ascendant. So it's a house that you really can't see it. So a lot of things that get caught up in a 12th house, they aren't visible. They're hidden in some way. So these people may spend a lot of their time, or may spend some time hidden away from society, or hidden away towards the public at large. They may work within like Hollywood or the media or something dealing with photography. but these people could end up being caught up in things that aren't necessarily tangible, if that makes sense. Life could be focused on merging with something greater than self. So again, these people could spend a lot of time insulated from normal society in solitude, whether that be in a hospital, in prisons, in jail. In some cases, you may be forced to sacrifice and serve society. Remember, the choice is yours when you have your chart ruler in the 12th house. The choice is to serve or to suffer. This is the house of smoke and mirrors, and so you could be very confused about your identity, very confused about how you come across in your appearance, and you may not feel like you are very visible to other people. So, yeah. If you found this video informative, comment down below. Like this video, leave a thumbs up, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe. If you want me to continue to do series like this, just let me know. And if you would like for me to interpret your natal chart, just shoot me an email at yrashon37@gmail.com and put astrology reading in the subject matter, and that way I'll know and I'll respond to you. I do natal chart interpretations, I do synastry readings, and I do forecasts. So yeah, check me out. And yeah, thank you for watching.